Hey guys, thanks for joining me for a warm, wandering mystery. Earlier this week, I noticed a painting on a quiet weekday morning, the kind of morning when museums feel half asleep and the floors echo a little too politely. It hung alone at the end of a hallway, lit by a soft patch of sunlight that made the colors look warmer than they probably were. Nothing about it seemed unusual at first, but then the guard mentioned, almost casually, that the portrait looked a little different every day. Not dramatically, just enough to make you wonder if your memory had taken an early lunch break. The painting showed a single person, a woman in a deep green coat, seated beside a small round table. Her pose was calm, her expression almost neutral, as if she were halfway through deciding whether to stay or leave. I came back the next day expecting nothing, really, except perhaps a slightly better look at the brushwork. But something was undeniably off. Her hair was shorter. Not by much, just enough that I paused and squinted at the canvas like it had personally offended me. The security guard wandered over with a thermos the size of a small fire hydrant. "Yeah," he said, as though discussing the weather. "It does that sometimes." He offered no explanation, which felt irresponsible at best. I decided to sit on the wooden bench across from the painting, my unofficial detective office, though noticeably lacking in cushions. From there, I could watch the hallway, the light, the subtle shuffling of museum visitors pretending to read plaques they clearly weren't reading. And I could keep an eye on the portrait. On my third visit, the subject's eyes were hazel instead of brown. Hazel, as if the painting had spent the night reconsidering its life choices. I leaned in close, expecting to spot some evidence of tampering, a difference in texture, a hidden seam, anything. Instead, I found a faint fresh gloss near the collar, a brushstroke that didn't quite match the age of the piece. The paint felt recent, uncomfortably recent. A visitor passing behind me muttered, "Weird. She looked older yesterday." They walked away before I could interrogate them, which was rude, given the circumstances. By now, the painting had become a hobby of sorts, the kind one doesn't admit to having because it implies a level of free time that feels incriminating. I started taking notes. Page 1 of my notebook read, "Possibility A, I'm imagining things. Possibility B, the painting is imagining me." Both felt equally plausible. Every afternoon, when the guard did his rounds, he would nod at the painting and whisper something under his breath. I once asked him what he said. He replied, "You wouldn't believe me," which is precisely the kind of answer designed to make someone believe anything. As days passed, the changes became more confident. A slight smile appearing overnight. A tilt of the head that wasn't there the day before. A subtle shift in posture, as though the subject had leaned closer to the edge of the canvas to get a better look at me. Then came the strangest detail of all, reflections. In the glass display case opposite the painting, the reflection didn't match the posture in the frame. In the reflection, the woman's shoulders were relaxed, almost comfortable, which was impressive, since comfort is not an emotion commonly associated with oil paint. One day, the background behind her changed too. A small window appeared, something the painting absolutely had not included when I first saw it. The window showed a hallway that looked suspiciously similar to the museum's own east wing, which meant the painting had begun referencing its surroundings, a level of self-awareness usually reserved for houseplants and over-caffeinated writers. And then, finally, the change I had been half expecting and yet completely unprepared for. I walked in and found a different person entirely. New face, new hair, same coat, same posture. As though the painting had simply decided to hire a replacement. I sat down on my bench, exhaled, and wrote in my notebook. Okay, that's enough. It wasn't until a week later that the truth clicked, gently, like a door that never fully closed. The painting didn't show a different person each day. It showed a different visitor. Every detail shifted to resemble whoever had spent the most time with it the day before. The guard with his tired eyes and endless coffee. The visitor with the short haircut. Even the passing tourist who'd wondered aloud about the figure's age. And on my last visit, the portrait looked unmistakably like me. A little calmer, a little more curious. Sitting in the same posture I always took on the bench. By the next morning, after I decided not to return, the painting went back to its original stranger, the one who had first caught my eye. Mysteries, it seems, have better boundaries than most people. I still think about that painting sometimes, how quietly it shifted, how politely it waited, how gently it borrowed each visitor's face. Some mysteries aren't meant to unsettle us. Some simply remind us that we leave a little of ourselves behind wherever we linger. And sometimes, if we're paying attention, the world lingers back.